Okay, so here's a little preview of what this video is about. This is one of the bumper ends that I built for my Samurai. It's mounted to a low-range off-road winch plate using the two bolt holes in the side of it that are supposed to be used for mounting the front cover. Okay, so I started out by making this cardboard CAD drawing of it just to get the shape and get an idea of how to build it. Then I cut everything out using this Diablo Steel Demon blade and my circular saw and using a straight edge. These bumper ends are meant only for looks, so they're not very strong, so I cut everything out of 1/8 inch thick cold rolled steel. Also, I TIG welded everything together using my Everlast 160 STH welder. I just wanted to include that information for anybody that hasn't seen or doesn't plan on watching my last videos on this bumper end project. Anyway, so let's go ahead and continue where I left off on my last video. Alright, so I'm getting there slowly but surely. Alright, so this is the hard part. Figuring out how to fit the bottom piece. Alright, so what I'm going to do, put this on here like that. Line this up, because that's going to be one weld seam right there. And take something, mark it, and then cut it out. And look at that. Not exactly how I want it to fit. Close enough. It's going to be welded on about like that. Unfortunately, that's all I can do for today is cut this out because I got to drill 2 holes in it first and I don't have a center punch. Alright, here I am back a day later. I went to Northern Tools and I got me a center punch. And I also took this and I marked my 2 holes. So I'm just going to use this block of wood like this and center punch this to get it ready to drill. Alright, I have my 2 holes center punched. So I'm going to put a 1/2 inch drill bit, or I should say a 1/2 inch hole. I have this clamped down and I'm just going to try to do it as level as I can. Safety first, of course. I'm going to use a little bit of PV blasters. This is probably not good, but I think something is better than nothing. Okay, after a few minutes I got the 2 holes drilled and then I went ahead and welded it up. Alright, so I got it all welded up. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now, I already got my bolt holes drilled. So what I got to do now is kind of smooth this end off flat. And yeah, look, I did really bad right here. But it's welded. So I'm just kind of polish it up a little bit. I might smooth the welds out just a little bit on the edges. Okay, so I use a cut-off wheel to cut the bigger piece off, and then I use a grinding disc just to kind of flatten it out and smooth everything over. Okay, so I went over everything with the flap disc, and then I went ahead and went over it with a DA sander as well with the 180 grit. I try to round it over as best I can to get rid of some of the divots that were left in. And now it's time to spray paint it. I cleaned it off with acetone and blew the inside out as best I can with air. And I have this VHT chassis and roll bar paint. I'm shaking it up pretty good. I made a really big mistake by hanging it like this because it just keeps moving and it gives me a really big problem. I actually end up running it really bad and whatever. Everything's a learning process. And yeah, it might be kind of entertaining to watch me do this. It just starts spinning and then next thing you know, I'm running the paint. And it ends up turning out kind of crappy, but whatever, it's painted. I could always refinish it later, but let's go ahead and move on. There you go, I did three coats. Waiting 10 minutes in between coats. I ran it really bad. I have some spots that look kind of splotchy, like the paint landed on some oil or something. But it's painted. And this is what it's going to look like when it's done. Oh wait, no, that's just some kittens that took over my bed. Oh, they're sleeping, stretching out, dirtying up my bed when I'm at work. Oh my God, look at that stretch. Alright, so this is what it looks like. Not too bad considering the fact I ran the paint really bad. The finish didn't come out really that good either. There's a lot of problems with it. And I'll explain what I'm talking about. Alright, I will admit I've never painted steel before, like this type of steel that has mill scale on it and stuff. Okay, so the mill scale does not come off easy. It seems to be really tough. Like when I tried it, I thought the DA was gonna, a DA sander was going to take it off with regular sandpaper. It doesn't seem to take it off at all. And I mean, even whenever you do like a flat disc, it doesn't really come off that easy either. You know, so anyway, so I didn't really get the mill scale off. I just kind of polished it, and I went ahead and painted over mill scale. I don't know if you could see that in the before pictures. But I did not take the mill scale all the way off. And I'm just hoping that it bonds really good. And even though it has runs, what I have to do now is wait 2 days for this to fully cure. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet sand the runs out of it, and I'm going to spray it again, being more careful. It was the first time I ever sprayed with that kind of paint, since it was a I don't know, there's just my imagination. Since it said chassis and roll bar paint, I don't know why I thought that it would be like really thick and it would I don't know, but it came out really watery and real easy to run. But it does say on the can to spray two light coats followed by a medium coat that's kind of wet. And I could see why it says that. Because whenever you're spraying the regular steel, it likes to run off of it. But once it has that one coat on it and you spray that over the coat that's already on there, it actually doesn't run as easy. Whatever. Okay, so everything's a learning experience. Paint job I think came out kind of crappy, but I think it's still going to look alright, especially after I fix it. And I mean, some of the parts of it, like I could see some real potential, like in this area, like in the front right here. Like some of that came out really nice looking. Like, oh my God. If I would just take a little bit more time in prepping it better, and I didn't really think about it when I was welding it, is to not have any indentions. Make sure you have a bead built up, so that way you have something to round off. I kind of thought I had that, but whenever I went to round it off, it wasn't filled good enough, so it had little indentions in it, which are right there on the edge. You can see they're not really that noticeable. I think it'll be alright. I'm not even supposed to be touching it yet, but I just get too anxious. Anyway, so, I mean, if all else fails, you could take the coating all the way back off and refinish them. I might end up doing that. I don't know. But that's not the point. One more thing that I wanted to point out about this is these were supposed to be for like cosmetic reasons only, like just for looks, to hide the front of the frame. And then after I started building them, I started realizing that it actually shouldn't be done like that. You should probably build them thicker and heavier. That way, if you wanted to winch something and put your bumper up against a tree, it needs to have some strength. And then I was talking about tying this into that circle bar that's a little bit behind the bumper to give the winch plate more, like, you know, to attach it better to the frame. Well, now maybe it's almost pointless, because this 1/8 inch material is actually pretty flimsy. The whole thing is not flimsy. The part that's flimsy about it is, like, we're going to call this the flange, the mounting plate. It's only 1/8 of an inch thick with 2 bolts. Well, that's the weak point. And whenever I bolted this up, I kind of felt that, because I bolted it up there and I felt it's almost flexible. So in order for this to have any strength, and I should have done this. This is kind of a mess up. This mounting piece should at least have been a 3/16 or if not a 1/4 inch plate, and then go ahead and weld 1/8 inch or whatever. That would still be pretty strong. But where the bolt holes go in, that plate should have been a lot thicker. So this is going to be for looks only. And I mean, I don't know. That was the original thought, and then I started thinking about it, and then, like, my projects never work out right, and just do stupid stuff. But anyway, it's going to be just for looks. Fine. It's really not that weak, but I just wanted to point that out, that the flange part, if you're going to bolt it on there, it should be thicker than an 1/8 inch. Or this could have been built where you just welded it straight to the 1/4 inch steel, welded an 1/8 inch like bumper end on it and turned the winch plate into a bumper, which would have been pretty cool. Okay, whatever. Well, I mean, like, you know, in the end, part of the reason I wanted to make this video because, you know, I didn't really expect anybody to really copy exactly what I'm doing. I just wanted to make this to kind of inspire people to, you know, start doing something. Like if they have a welder and they never could think of any projects, and you know, introduce that Diablo blade and a straight edge, how you could actually cut out pieces and make them weldable together and actually make something out of it. Well then, you know, I thought that might be helpful. You know, I thought that, you know, hopefully this could inspire somebody to build something. And besides, also this one that I built, it doesn't have places for the signal lights. You could just mount that up on the fender, or you could design your own bumper in where it has a place for the signal lights. I drive mine only off-road, and I don't care about signal lights. So, you know, that's kind of also, I'm sure somebody's going to point that out, where do the signal lights go? Well, sorry. I mean, even on this one, this is the flat surface this right here is a flat surface that's like next to the winch. You could just put a piece of bent steel around like that, like a bow, and mount it in there. I mean, you could, but anyway, I just wanted to hide the end of the frame because I thought that looked really ugly. So that's really all I wanted to say about this. And now I got to build another one, which I'm really not excited about at all. Okay, so here it goes. I know I showed this at the beginning of the video, but let's take another look at it. I think it looks pretty cool. I know it doesn't really match the rest of the vehicle, but pretty soon I'm on this thing where I'm going to start making the whole Samurai look better. I'm probably going to paint the frame and do all kinds of things, but anyway, just check it out. That's what it's going to look like when it's done. I am going to refinish it though. I'm going to let it cure and sand the runs out of it and try to spray a better paint job on it. Looks better than the rest of the vehicle. Sorry I can't include the rest of it where I have the other side done. I'm kind of fed up with this little project, and I'm going to build the other one, but I just need to wrap the videos up on this and move on to the next thing. Did a couple more looks at it. I actually like it. I think it's pretty cool.